Welcome back, Algebra 1. This is going to be notes and the assignment for number 2. So hopefully you guys have printed this one out. If not, handwritten is fine for right now. It might be a little bit difficult to handwrite some of these because we're doing a lot of graphs today. So let's put in 0, 2 on the top left, or the number 2, because this is assignment number 2. Okay. So there's two parts of notes to this, and I'll go over them, and then we'll go on to the next video for the second part. So please watch both parts. So notes, verify if the coordinate points are solutions to the equation. Write true if the coordinate point is a solution, and write false if the coordinate point is not a solution. We're going to be plugging in, and just think of it that way. We're going to be using our PEMDAS after we plug in. So let's figure out if these three are solutions to this equation. So 1, 5, we're going to graph that a little bit later. So what's going to happen is for every x that we see, we're just going to plug in what that x value is giving us. And the x value that we're given is a 1. Okay, so we're just going to plug in the 1 over here. Oh, sorry. This is supposed to be the number 1. Okay. So that is a 1. If you want to plug in the 5 here, you can, because technically this is x comma y, but I'm going to wait for that a little bit because we just kind of need to prove that it should equal to 5. Let's see though, let's see if it does. Okay, anyway, we have to do PEMDAS first. Now do your PEMDAS. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2. So again, apologies, this is a 1. And then now 5 minus 2 is going to be 3. Okay, so now if we plug in 1, we're supposed to get a 5, but did we get a 5? No, we got a 3 instead. So if the coordinate is not a solution, we're going to have to write false. So this part over here is going to be false. 1, 5 is false for this equation. We're going to do it 2 more times. So y equals 5 minus 2 times, okay, which number are we going to plug in for 3 comma negative 1? We're going to plug in 3 because that's your x. Alright, we're going to do PEMDAS first, your multiplication. Negative 2 times 3 is going to be negative 6. And then now 5 minus 6 is negative 1. Now take a look at your y values. Do they match? Yes, they do this time around. Now that they match, this is a solution, and we're going to make this true. So this part over here is true. Last but not least, for number 1, let's just do it one more time using the same equation. Y equals 5 minus 2 times. Okay, which value are we going to plug in? Are we going to plug in the 7 or the negative 1? If you had said negative 1, that's correct because that is your x. Remember, this is x comma y. I'm just zooming a little bit over here. Remember, do your PEMDAS first multiplication. So negative 2 times negative 1, be careful, is positive 2. So 5 plus 2 is going to be 7. And take a look at your y values. Do they match? The answer is yes. So we have 1 false and 2 trues on number 1. Okay, so really we're plugging in the x values and seeing if it matches with the y value. If it matches with the y value, it's true. If it does not match with the y value, then that's a false. Okay. All right. The second question is a lead into this one. Like, what's actually happening over here? Like, why is it true and why is it false? Because I think maybe in your previous courses you have plugged in a couple numbers and you're trying to see if it is a solution or not. So this is what's happening. This actually is a graph that I have already graphed for you. So this is the y equals 5 minus 2x line. And so if you guys want to write that down over there, you guys can. Okay. And what we're going to do is we're going to graph these 3 points and plot it over here and see what happens. So I'm going to write that in red. I'm going to plot them in red. So we're going to start with 1, 5 first. So 1, 5, we're going to start on the x-axis, 1, and then 5 up, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay, so this is 1, 5. And as you can see, did it land on the graph? This point does not land on the linear graph, the linear function. So hence why it is false. So we have a numerical explanation. It's false because the numbers do not match. It's supposed to have been a 3, but it's a 5, okay? And we also have a graphical representation. It's not on the line, okay? So this is why it's false or true. So that means when we have the true solutions, that means that they should be landing on the line, and let's just check that. So 3 comma negative 1, 3 is, we're going to go 3 to the right from the 0, 0, and then 1 down. So yes, if it's graphed correctly, yes, in fact, it lands on the linear function, the linear equation, and it should be landing on the line, okay? And the last one is negative 1 comma 7, so let's go graph that. Negative 1 is on the left side over here, and we got to go 7 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a little bit off, but it does look like it lands on the linear function, the linear graph. Okay. So this is the expectation that I want you guys, when you guys are doing your classwork homework, this is how you should be doing your work when you have these similar problems like this. So plug them in, state if it's false or true, and then afterwards, put in the equation here and then graph the coordinate points just to check. So that's what's happening. Let's do 4 more problems together and then the first part of the video will be done. Okay, we have a different equation now, parentheses or quantity x minus 3 squared plus 1. We're going to do it in the same respect. So we're going to plug in certain x values and we're going to figure out if it matches with the y value that's given. So again, this is your x value, so we're going to plug that over here. 3 minus 3 squared, quantity squared, plus 1, and we're going to check. Okay, so let's do PEMDAS first. Remember, we got to do what's inside the parentheses, 3 minus 3. That's 0. Okay, now we have to do exponents. 0 times 0 is 0. And then plus 1 is 1. Okay, take a look at your y values. Yes, they match. Good. So this is going to be true. So this is true. Okay. Good thing we only have one more coordinate point, and so let's go do that. The x value that we're going to plug in is the 1 because it's x comma y. So we're going to plug in the 1 over here. Again, if you want to plug in the 5 over here, you can. You don't have to. We can check it a little bit later. Okay. 1 minus 3, we've got to do inside what's parentheses is negative 2. So I'm expecting this type of work from you guys, kind of like a step-by-step line. Okay, be careful. Negative 2 times negative 2 is not negative 4. Okay, so negative 2 times negative 2, that's positive 4. So please be careful with that. This is positive 4. I'm going to scratch off this left parentheses over here. I'm going to go 4 plus 1. Okay, now we can add the 1. 4 plus 1 is equal to a 5. Now take a look. It is also true as well. So just be careful with your homework assignment. Sometimes you could have 2 trues. Sometimes you could have a false and a true. Sometimes both of them are going to be false. So just be careful with some of the homework assignments that you'll see today. Okay, so just be careful. Not one is, not all of them is going to be true, false, or false, true. Just be careful. Okay, so that's that. Let's go graph it right now using number 4. So we're going to use the coordinate points for number 3 and we're going to plot it on number 4. So first off, I'm going to label this. This is your y equals x minus 3 squared plus 1 graph. So this is what's called a parabola, and we are going to review the names in a little bit on the second video. Well, let's just plot the coordinate points first. So 3 comma 1. So we go from 0, 0, we go 3 to the right and then 1 up. And it's a good thing that it was true because it should land on the parabola. Okay, so it's true and that matches. So here's your graphical representation of what's happening to this. Okay, and the other one is 1 comma 5. So we're going to go 1 to the right and then 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And it's a good thing, yeah. It should be landing on the parabola because both of them were true. And this is your graphical representation. Okay, so again, the expectation for the homework is you do pretty much something like this. Let's go do one more now. Okay. Number 5. And we're going to plug in the x values and see if they're true or false. This is an exponential function. Okay. I put a small space over here because we're going to plug in what number? We're going to plug in a 1. Okay, so we're going to plug in a 1, and that's in the exponent realm. And let's go do the exponents first. 1 minus 1 in the exponent is 0. I'm not too sure if your previous math teachers have told you guys, but I think I'm going to write a small rule on the side somewhere over here. Okay, anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. When we hit exponential functions in a little bit, maybe I think probably next quarter or so, then I can give you guys a proof as to why that is. You can even grab a calculator. You know what, let me go grab a calculator. Hold on. So anything to the 0 power is 1. Let's try it out. 9 to the 0 power. Okay, that's 1. 36 to the 0 power. That's also 1. How about negative 963 to the 0 power? That's also 1. Okay, so anything to the 0 power is going to be 1. So when we have 2 to the 0 power, you're going to change that into 1. Okay. All right, and then 1 plus 2 is equal to 3. All right, take a look at your y values. Do they match? Yes, they do. True. One last one for number 5. Okay. What number do we have to plug in? Is it the 5 or the 2? Hopefully you said the 2 because that's your x value. And then we're going to check to make sure after we plug in that the y values match. Okay. So this is, let's do exponents. 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay. 2 to the 1 power from your previous course is 2. So 2 plus 2 is 4. Take a look at your y values now. This is a 5. This is a 4. Okay, so this is a false. And this is not a solution to this particular equation that we have over here. All right, now we're going to use number 6 for a graphical representation of what is happening. So this is your y equals, let me just put this over here, 2 to the x minus 1 plus 2. And now let's go graph some of those things, those 2 corner points. So 1 comma 3, although it's not marked, your 1 is over here. So we're going to go 1 to the right and then 3 up, 1, 2, 3. And then great. So it matches our calculations. It was true, and it lands on this, what's called an exponential function, which we will review on the second part of this video, the second video. Okay, and now let's graph 2 comma 5. So 2 is already marked, and we're going to go 5 up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then, yes, it matches what we've calculated because it was a false solution. So it should not be landing on the exponential graph. Okay. So this video was 13 minutes, 14 minutes. Can you now, let's not do the notes just yet. Why don't you guys try and tackle the classwork homework numbers, and I'm going to have to actually check. So starting from, I see, 12 all the way to 17. So 12 all the way to 17, some of the answers should be in the back. So please do 12 to 17 right now before you move on to the next video. And that way, because it's already fresh in your mind, do that right now and check your answers in the answer key provided.